You're listening to the Mr. Nailsin Show here on RadioMisfits.com. Well, while we've got a few minutes left, I figured I'd finally get to this, which I meant to do some time ago, and review another episode of Space 1999. This one called Matter of Life and Death. The title doesn't really... I mean, there's a guy who seems to be dead, but then he isn't. And then the word matter plays into this because of antimatter and stuff, I guess. Apparently, originally it was going to be called the Siren Planet, which would make it sound like it's drawing them to it. And I guess sort of, because they're desperately looking for a planet to settle on. While their moon travels past one star system after another, yet the gravitational forces of these planets never seem to be able to capture it. Yeah, I don't know how that happens. So they find this planet. It seems to be too good to be true. And of course it is. But they name it Terra Nova because it's the new Earth. And they send an Eagle shuttle to go investigate. And oh no, there's something wrong. And the ship seems to get attacked, gets zapped by the planet or whatever. And the two crewmen are knocked out. It seems like they've been electrocuted. And so the doctor investigates. And then they find this third man. He's like, who the hell is this guy? It was only supposed to be two. And she rolls him over and she's stunned and shocked because it's her husband. It turns out she had a husband, but she presumed him to be dead. He had been on a mission to Jupiter, and then the ship disappeared and they thought it burned up in the radiation and the atmosphere of Jupiter or what have you. And, but now she's, oh, but he's here. But how could he be there? They're like billions of years, I guess light years away from wherever they are. You know, they're in deep space away from the star system. So how did he end up on this planet? And, well, they don't know. So, at one point, the vital signs seem to show he's dead. And the next point, he seems to be alive. And then, gee, isn't that weird? And then they discover that he seems to be drawing life energy from the doctor, and he has some kind of connection with her, and they're feeling bad about it. He has, it's like he can't speak very well until he's with his wife, so there seems to be something to this, that he can only communicate with her. I would have thought that they would have written it to where he wasn't really her husband, but he was some alien that, you know, it was a sort of a parasite and drawing from her. And it took the form of her husband because he could read her mind or something along those lines, you know, and left her to think that. But that's not where they're going with it. And I don't really know where they're going. It seems like a bunch of ideas sort of jumped into this, slapped it together. And so, you know, they study him. Meanwhile, they want to go back to the planet and all this stuff. At one point, he loses his patience with the medical staff. He beats them up and stuff. But then the doctor's wife calms him down, and then Koenig talks to him. And the guy is trying to warn them that the planet's dangerous and something about, you know, you'll be annihilated or whatever. And there's life on it, but not in the way you understand or something like that. And then he just dies. And then Helena, the doctor, she's just like, oh, it was too good to be true or whatever. She's just accepted he's gone or whatever. So, meanwhile, Koenig says, oh, that was weird. All right, everybody, let's head down to the planet and set camp and start surveying property for people to set up homes and whatnot. And so they go down there. And, but there was that other doctor, Bergman or whatever his name, I forget it, you know, the other scientist is saying, hey, there's antimatter and whatnot. And, Koenig doesn't want to hear it. He's all gung-ho for them to finally settle down. I guess he's had enough because in earlier episodes, he was the one that was a bit reluctant to just go down on the planet and set up life on it and stuff because he was suspicious and whatnot. Here, he doesn't want to hear anything. He just, let's go down there and start building homes. So all of a sudden, terrible things begin to happen. Their equipment is melting and whatnot. The planet is destroying their stuff. And they're trying to get away, and they can't seem to do it. So at one point, Helena her husband appears again. How he does this, I don't know. But he does, and he warns her that, yeah, you gotta leave because he somehow survived the Jupiter mission and ended up on that planet, but now he's been transformed into antimatter, and so he can't exist with her in the normal universe, or I don't know. The whole planet is from another universe, I guess. How can an antimatter planet exist within the matter? So, oh no, she's sad and everything, and so they gotta head back to the planet. Now they managed to do this, and yeah, it doesn't really matter. Koenig's all upset because they still got to keep going, but one of the crewmen tells him, "Hey, don't worry. There's so many other planets we can find, and it'll be cool." I don't know. It's just one of these that's done up for the struggle of meeting her dead husband and all this sort of stuff, I guess. But yeah, too many just different ideas that weren't fully realized, just sort of tacked on to this one, and they rush it out and go with it. So yeah, I mean, the thing about Space 1999, sometimes the look of it is pretty good. The set is not bad. It's pretty good for its time. And some of the effects shots they did were pretty good. But then it becomes obvious the money ran out. And some of the sets here, and especially in this one for the planet, is pretty bad. Now, sometimes I'll praise like old Star Trek and stuff when they do it because it gives it a more alien look. But here, because even Doctor Who, some of the in-studio stuff they do, it's a cheap show, but they managed to do it better with lighting and whatnot. Here, boy, you can really tell it's just a painted wall. And so, especially when some of the other shots they already have and they reuse and repurpose and whatnot, of course, is just so much better than the rest of it. But in the end, even if it was just a bad set, it wouldn't have mattered if the story had been really good and grounded in something. It really isn't here. So got to chalk this one up to another bad one for Space 1999. The previous episode I did about the weird guy, the only thing there was the villain's outfit and his look was pretty bad. But the overall story was not that bad. It was actually pretty good. The problem for Space 99 ultimately is the concept of the moon traveling like that. I just don't think that was a good way to go. But what are you going to do? That's the whole show. But this one, this wasn't one of the good ones. Just wasn't. Of course, the good ones are few and far between. But anyway, there you go. So I'll watch another one when I get the time, and we'll talk about it here. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.